Gross. Well, okay, we need a strap.
Oh.
I'll bring you one. Oh, here comes Kevin. Is this collar okay?
Yes.
So what do you think? Would you like to go to Italy?
Yeah, I can go leave tomorrow, actually.
It just makes me to take a photograph. Did you watch that?
I watched
Part of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very pretty, yeah.
Really.
All right, so we're here. It is Thursday, the 25th, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So need a strap today. Those of you at home and anybody tuning in out there, you need a strap. You're more than welcome as you start to sit up in a chair if you'd rather. I'm going to start on the floor today. But have a block handy, just handy by you so you can reach over and get it if you need it for a little bit of floor work here. So take your time and ease your way into getting comfortable. So if you need to stretch your legs out long, do. If you need to grab blankets, sit on blankets if that feels better for you so that you feel very easy in your hips. Close your eyes very gently. See if you can let your eyes just come down. So pretend even though your eyes are closed that you're looking down towards the ground. And then let your gaze come like you're looking directly forward again. And then just let your eyes look to the right. Just letting yourself look over with the eyes closed and then back through center and to the left. And then come back to look forward and then again bring your gaze down. Let yourself release there. And then just kind of shift around until you get really easy about how you're sitting as you lengthen up through the top of your head. Bring your awareness to your hands, wherever they want to go, to where your shoulders feel good, whether you want to turn your palms up or down or send them up and down your thighs a little bit. And then just be aware, feeling your breath now, coming in and going out through your nose. Feeling the coolness of the air as it comes in through the nose. And feeling it a little warmer as you exhale through your nose. On your next exhale, bring your hands to meet in front of your chest. Spread your fingers out a little bit. Let yourself bring your pointer fingers a little bit away from each other, and then when you exhale, let them come back together. And go to the middle fingers and do that same thing. They come apart a little bit when you inhale, and when you exhale, they come back to meet. And then your ring fingers come a little bit apart. And then they come back together, and then your pinkies just a little apart, and then releasing them back. And now inhale your thumbs a little bit away from each other. Not so much if it hurts. If it hurts, just stop. And then bring them on back and together again. From here, letting your chin come on down towards your chest. Release your head forward. Let yourself still lengthen up so that you're not rounding into your upper back, but you're just letting yourself bring the head forward. And on your inhale, bring your head on back up, so chin's parallel to the floor. And now send your left ear towards your left shoulder. Let your hands just respond by sliding over to the right, just however far it feels good. And then come on back up to the top of the head, hands back to center, and go the other way. Tilt your head the other way later. Hands just go the opposite way. And then come on back into center with the hands and with the head. Let's keep the hands together and inhale them straight on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's make one big circle with our arms. Bringing your arms forward. up overhead. Now, how far you go with this depends on your shoulders. If you can reach back behind yourself, do. Hands come back down, and then we'll reverse. We'll start to reach back first, and then all the way up and over the top. Let the arms come all the way forward, and then fingertips back down towards the ground here. And now walk back with your fingertips a little bit, and try not to put too much weight. You've got your fingertips back there, but you're going to draw your chest forward. Your chin may want to come up a little bit too. That's up to you. You can look up as high as you choose. Feel the belly engaging. Feel the sit bones drawing down towards the ground. And then we'll release to come on back up. Shake your hands out a little bit, and we're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged. So take your time. Bring your other leg in front here. And then flex through the feet a little bit if you're cross-legged, and press down into the outside edges of your feet. And start to come just an easy little bit forward. So this is up to you. Hands can give you support on the floor. You may decide you want to put your hands on your legs, right? Or you may want to go farther out with your hands. Just let it feel really good coming forward from the low back. If you're able to release your head and let your head hang a little bit, do. And if that puts too much pressure into your back, don't do it. You can always keep the back of your head in line with your spine. And just enjoy. Give the back time here to open up a little bit, just from coming forward into your forward bend. Good, and then we'll slowly make our way on back up and bring our arms on out beside us, fingertips lightly touching if you're on the floor. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Good. And now, let's stretch our legs out. If you're in your chair, you can stretch your legs out for a second too. Move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. And then grab a block and let yourself, whether you're in a chair or the floor, bring the block to its narrowest, height there, between, right above your knees. So you're not pressing your knees into the block. It's a little bit higher. And you can feel now as you actually bend your knees a little bit, even if you're on the floor. See if you can let yourself squeeze into the block with the knees bent. And then when you come on back into straighter legs, imagine kind of feeding that block downward. So you're pressing into the block. Imagine that it's going down towards the ground. Let yourself lengthen up here through the crown of your head. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left, squeezing into that block with our legs. So if you're on the floor, feel your heels on the floor. Squeezing into that block there. Finding that length upward through the back of the neck here, through the back of your throat. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come back through center. You're still squeezing, so you're very engaged in your legs. Sit bones are drawing down equally, lengthening up through the top of your head. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, use your belly to bring you back. Keep squeezing into the block for a second here. Let yourself sit up nice and tall. And then release, because that's a lot of work. And let's bring the soles of the feet towards each other. And come into and let the feet be a little farther out than you normally would. Just to give your hips a break. If you're like that, it's not a break. It feels uncomfortable. Put blocks underneath your knees if you need to. So that you can let your inner thighs stretch out a little bit. You can come forward too if it feels good to you. You can let yourself release forward from your low back. Or not. You can stay sitting up tall. And just let yourself imagine the knees are reaching away from the midline. Right? So you're not trying to feel like you're pushing your knees down towards the floor. But instead, they're reaching out sideways, which gives you a little more length in your inner thighs. Just a different feeling in the hips. Good. Now try not to lift your chin up. Feel length in the back of your neck and your throat. Good. And then we'll rise all the way on back up. And we're gonna bring our knees on up, stretch our legs out for a second. We're gonna come around towards our hands and knees. So you know if you don't wanna be on your knees, don't be. You can use the hands up on the chair. Plus, put a blanket underneath your knees if you wanna be down on the floor, but it doesn't feel good in your knees, right? So take your time. If your hands are in your chair, your feet are right under your hips, hands under your shoulders. And if you're on the floor, your knees are under your hips, your hands are under your shoulders. Spread your fingers out, and if you need to come onto fists, do. And then we'll just start to easily flow through our cat-cows. So take your time and imagine the tailbone starting that movement, whether it's drawing up under you and then you're coming up into that cat pose, or you're sending the tailbone back and up, moving back through into your cow or your neutral spine. So just be mindful, enjoy, let it just feel very relaxed and natural to move the spine. Good. Finish the one that you're on. Come back to more neutral spine. And now see if you can bring your left forearm down, parallel to the front edge of your mat. You can kind of do this on your chair too. And reach your right arm forward like you're doing down dog, right? Put your forehead down towards your arm. It doesn't have to come all the way. And just allow yourself to come into this quarter down dog. Feel the hands pressing gently down. Feel that right elbow hugging inward a little bit towards the midline. And how far back you shift with your hips, totally up to you. And then we'll bring the right hand back so we can come up and switch sides. So right forearm comes down, left arm reaches. And again, you can shift down with your head towards that right forearm. Press into your hands a little bit. Feel your left elbow hugging in towards the midline. So waking up in the shoulders, letting yourself release in that place between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll bring the left hand back so we can press back up again. And we're going to bring our left foot forward from here and step our right foot back for lunge. So you can use whatever support you want under your hands. Remember, if you're on the chair, you can have your hands holding the edge of the seat of the chair if that's better for your wrists. You can be flat on your hands. Blocks, same thing. You can switch how your hands are so that you're not uncomfortable in your wrists. Fingertips, fists, flat hands. Let yourself just be mindful. Enjoy opening up through the back of that right leg. Good. And we're going to switch and go to the other side. So remember, how long of a stance you take in your lunge doesn't matter. You just want to reach directly back behind yourself with that left heel. Whether it's a shorter lunge and the heel is closer to the floor, or maybe the heel is up off the floor. Good. And we're going to switch legs again. So again, press those feet away from each other. Feel the belly engaging now. Zip up the low belly. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And then bring your left hand on up to your left hip and come into a bit of a twist here. Just roll that shoulder up. Let yourself look to the left. Stay as level as you can in your hips. And then we'll come on back down with the hand, and we're going to switch legs again. So again, really get into your stance here of your lunge. Make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle too. And then when you feel ready, bringing that right hand up and rolling that right shoulder up as you look to your right, coming into your twist there. Reach through that inner heel, reach out through the top of your head. Good. And then we'll come on back down with the hand, and let's step forward. Come on into our standing forward bend. So check out your feet. Remember, parallel as you can be there with your feet, letting yourself have your feet pretty equal so that make sure one foot's not farther forward than the other, or one foot turned out more than the other one, so you get equal feeling between your feet. Use whatever support you need. Hands on the blocks, elbows above the knees, hands or forearms on your chair. And then just release into your breath. Remember, your knees can be a little bent in your forward bend. You still want to feel your sitting bones over your heels. And now go to those full, even breaths. If you can, count when you breathe in. See what count you reach, and see if you can reach that same count when you breathe out. So whether it's 4 or 5 or 6, of course it all depends on how fast you count, but keep the rhythm of the breath if you can, so that those counts remain pretty close to the same length, and your breath can just easily start to even out. Up to our hips, bend our knees, rise on up to standing, and we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, adjust however you need to. You know that if you need to look at your feet, do. Actually, bring your hands down for a second. Let your arms hang. And everybody's arms hang differently. In other words, your hands might face any number of directions. Some people, the natural carriage of their arms, their palms face in. Some palms face out. And sometimes palms face backwards, right? So just let your arms hang without like trying to put your hands in any way. Feel your feet in the floor. Let yourself just enjoy reaching up through the crown of your head. And then as you exhale, now bring your hands to meet in front of your chest. Spread your fingers a little bit. Feel that connection between each of your fingers, your thumbs, whatever part of your palms touch. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us, and we're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees. Come on forward into your standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find a nice long back, wherever you want your hands to go, shins or the blocks or the chair. Find that flat back. Really enjoy coming into reaching out through the top of your head, back through your tailbone. Then we're going to step the right foot back to come into lunge. So take your time, coming into that lunge now. Press the feet again gently away from each other. We'll make our way into a downward facing dog pose from here. So, reaching your way back here. Take your time, bend your knees if you'd like, but walk your dog if that feels better. Let your body adjust here. Elbows hugging inward. You know, and you can always adjust the height of your hands if you need to. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. And we all know that if your wrists bother you, if you need to come down to forearms, do. If you need to put your knees down and do a half plank, do. Engage the belly. If you like to bend your elbows, you can. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Good. And this time the right foot comes forward. So if you need to put your left knee down to come into that lunge, do. And then we'll step all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Right to your breaths. In and out through your nose. Maybe they just naturally want to get a little deeper, a little longer. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. Bend our knees and rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up through the midline. Keep them together if you can, but just go to the tips of your fingers and the tips of your thumbs. So instead of still having your palms together, just go to those tips there. And then lean a little bit over to the left. Let yourself come into a bit of a side stretch there. Breathing into the right side. And then come on back up to the top. Once you're there, bend your elbows. Let your hands just come behind your head a little bit. And just release here into the triceps, just for a breath here. And then stretch back into those arms. You still have the tips of your fingers and thumbs together. And we're going to go over to the other side, reaching up and out of the waist a little bit. Feel the left foot pressing down into the floor. And then we'll come on back up to the top again. And then we're going to release our arms down alongside us. And then bend our elbows once they get at the bottom and bring our hands together in front of our hearts. Spread your fingers. And now interlace your fingers, clasp your hands, and really squeeze your palms together. So you feel your biceps all the way up into your shoulders. Let it feel good. And then release the hands and put the tips of your fingers on the tops of your shoulders. And then from here, let your elbows start to circle. Now they can be small circles. You know, it depends on your shoulders. You may want to just stay really tiny. You might want to get bigger and bigger. You're still going in the same direction. So keep going in that same direction until you get as big as you want with your circles of your elbows. And then we'll stop and we're going to reverse the circles. So again, start small. And maybe you want to stay small. Maybe you want to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's kind of like when you circle with your arms. It's often easier one direction than the other, right? But just enjoy. Finish off the one you're on so the elbows release downward, and then unfold your arms on down beside you. And we're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we'll bend the knees and come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long back. It doesn't matter how high up you are, right? Hands can be up on your legs or blocks or chair. And we'll step the left foot back this time, finding our lunge. And inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog pose. Take your time. Ease your way back. Feel that sense of being long through both sides of the body, but also picture your spine in your dog. So the tailbone's reaching back, the back of the head is in line with your spine. And on your next inhale, you're going to head towards that plank. And again, it doesn't matter if you go into full plank or put your knees down or do a forearm plank or bend your elbows, do a little push-ups if you want. Be where you can. And then we'll come on back into down dog from here. And this time we will bring the left foot forward to find that lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. See if you can float all your toes up. Feel, use support if you need under your hands, your elbows, whatever, your forearms. And with the toes up there, see if you can just put the big toes down, but keep the rest of your toes off the floor. And then bring the big toes up, get centered again, and try to do just the little toes, which for me is a lot harder than the big toes, but everybody's different. See where your brain paths take you there. And then lift all the toes up. And now do the big toes again. And see if you have the big toes down, can you make the little toes go down and the other toes all stay up?
No.
It's worth a try. And some people can very easily do this. It's so amazing actually that all our brain pathways are different. And then lift all your toes up. Bend your knees with your toes lifted up. Really deeply, like really let your belly come towards your thighs. And then let your toes soften down. Bring your hands to your hips. And we're going to press into our feet and rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose for a breath, but really be aware of your feet now. So you just kind of got your toes all warmed up there. Really feel your feet in the floor with your toes included, but You don't want to grip with your toes. You don't want to use them like cat claws, right? They're just really there for stability. Very handy little things we have there, our toes. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend the knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a flat back. And we're going to walk into down dog. Now, you know, your hands could be whatever surface you like. The floor, the blocks, the chair. And on your inhale, come out towards your plank. Now, you can add a back bend or not. So if you're on the floor, you can come down and do a sphinx on your forearms. You can come through for an up dog, or you can do a cobra. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. So take your time, walk if you need to. Let yourself adjust when you get to that dog. And then we'll do that same thing. We'll inhale out to plank. And again, it is totally optional to add a back bend. You can stay in plank. You can come down to the floor, push up into a little cobra, or do a sphinx pose. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. Good. And from here, let's bring our right foot forward to come to lunge. And then we'll step all the way back into standing forward bend. And don't do this if it's uncomfortable for your back, but if your hands can drift onto your elbows, go for it. If that's too much, instead use support. And breathe. And let your face go. Imagine your forehead smoothing out here. Let go of your jaw. Good. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So be mindful. Let yourself, as you start to find your mountain pose, if you need to wiggle around a little bit, do shift. So that eventually you do feel very equal between your feet. Remember, finding that alignment of the pelvis, tailbone dropping down towards between your heels. Just allowing yourself to bring your gaze out like you're looking at the horizon there. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit. Move whatever you need to move around, do it. And I'm going to flip my chair around. If you're using it, you might want the back of it. And have your blocks handy here towards the front of your mat. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior two. So we'll get that right foot about parallel to the back edge of the mat. Line your heels up. Take your time here. Good. And then let your hands come to your heart. Let yourself just again find that connection of your hands. Remember that front knee, if you need to check it out, is not coming any farther forward than your ankle. So you want to make sure you're not over bending. That back leg is as straight as you can get it, but be mindful here. And then inhale your hands up through the midline and open the arms. Keep the palms facing up as your arms come down into warrior two, but with palms up. So let your elbows melt down. Turn to look over at your left palm there, or the left fingers, whatever feels good. And feel the shoulders nice and soft. And then let's bring our right hand down to the right leg back there. And inhale, left arm's going to come up and into reverse warrior. So breathing into that left side of the body. You can use your right hand for a little support back there. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. So your left hand or forearm can come onto your thigh. You can use your chair if you'd rather. And then if you want to add that top arm, you can bring the right arm up into line, or you can have it straight up, or you can keep the hand down. So in other words, you're trying to allow yourself to find what your shoulder lets you do there, but otherwise the spine is lengthened. Good, you feel that sense of equality between the sides of the body. There's no curve going on in the spine. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now let your hands come behind you, and we're going to start to turn our feet more parallel. So adjust. So if you need your stance to get more or less wide, bring your hands still behind you to clasp. And then bend your knees and start to come forward. Now you may not want to go far. That depends on you. You can go, all the way parallel to the floor. If you can keep your hands back like that, you can bend your knees as much as you want. Some of you might even want to fold all the way over, letting the top of the head reach down. Don't do it if it bothers you. Now, if your hands and arms want to come off your back, you can do that too, depending on your shoulders. So be where you can. Feet equal in the floor. Imagine your arches lifting up. And then releasing your arms on down. And once your hands are to blocks of the floor, go ahead and bend a knee at a time. Shift from one side to the other. Really let yourself find those inner thighs. Good. And then make your way back to center. Whether both your knees are bent or straight, it doesn't matter. You find a place where you can stay here and watch your breath so that you're not feeling any kind of discomfort. Right? So that's different for everyone. Blocks can be underneath your forearms or your head or your hands. You can let your hands come back to hold your feet or your ankles, or put them between your feet, your legs there, or behind you. And now really feel the expansion of the ribs as you inhale. And feel how the ribs come back in as you exhale. But again, think about your inhales and exhales being close to the same length. Maybe even letting your exhales get a little bit longer than your inhales. One more breath. And then to rise up, you take your time about it, whether you need to bring your feet together a little bit before you rise up. Use your hands on your thighs or your hips. If you're dizzy, be mindful as you come up. Walk around a little bit through your feet and your ankles too, all right? So we'll come into Warrior Two on the other side. Right foot's going to come forward and left foot back. And again, line those heels up and let yourself try to be really mindful of that bend of that right knee. And this foot, remember this left foot, about parallel to the back edge. If your heel wants to go back farther, do it. And then let your hands again come together in front of your chest. Now for a second, think about your toes, right? So we talked about the toes earlier. Let's see if we can imagine, again, not gripping the mat with your toes. You can try that. Grip your toes down. See what it does. Very different, isn't it? And then see if you can let the toes kind of lift up a tiny bit and then release softly back down. So they stabilize you, but you're not tensing there. We'll inhale the hands up through the midline of the body. Open them. Keep the palms up as you come down into Warrior Two, looking at the right palm as you come on, opening through the arms here now. Shoulders softening down, elbows kind of melting down. Imagine for a second you're holding two equal things in your hands. That can be anything that feels like you can find that sense of balance between your arms, your hands, and your shoulders. Let your left hand come down to your left leg and inhale, reach up towards the sky with that right hand. You can reach a little behind yourself if you want. Be easy in your neck. If you have to stay looking forward because your neck bothers you, do. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into that side angle pose. Again, either your right hand or forearm to your thigh. And you can decide about adding this left arm up into line, or keeping the hand down on your hip, or bringing the hand more straight up above your shoulder, right? So that angle of the arm, totally up to you. Good, one more breath here. And then we're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now let your hands come down. We're going to turn our feet parallel, but once you get around to the long edge of your mat, send your heels forward a little bit so that you're turned out in your legs. Bend your knees a little into a little bit of a goddess. And it won't take much to feel your thighs, right? Imagine your outer thighs dropping down. And now stretch your arms out. Bring your left arm on top of your right. Give yourself a hug. Now straighten your legs up a little bit because you're going to be really mad at me if we stay there too terribly long. And you can add to half eagle or eagle wrap with your arms if you want, or you can stay hugging. Once you get your arms how you want, bend your knees again. See if you can maybe even go a little bit deeper. And if not, no worries. Tailbone drops down. Make sure you're not tucking it up under you. Reach it back a little bit, actually. Now rise up again. Let your arms come undone. Bring the arms straight out from your shoulders. And we'll bring the right arm on top of the left and give a hug. Again, release there for a breath. Let your elbows melt down. Heading, if you want, into a half eagle wrap or full eagle wrap. You can slide the back of your left hand to the outside of your right elbow if you'd rather. Bend your knees again. Maybe again you can go a little bit deeper. Tailbones reaching back and down. Knees out over the center of the feet. Imagine your outer hips dropping down. And then release back up. We're going to unfold our arms here. We're going to turn our toes more, feet parallel, and we're going to come forward again for that wide-legged forward bend. Once you get your hands down to blocks of the floor, just walk over to the right or shift your block to the right, but stay out, way out in front of your foot. You're not walking towards your foot. You're actually kind of walking away from it. So lengthen out. Let your heart melt a little bit towards the floor when you get there. And then walk back through center. And again, the block might be just right over here at an angle away from you, or you may decide you want to have your hands on the floor, but see if you can then kind of think of your heart melting down a little bit. Good, and then come on back into center. Go ahead and wiggle around a little bit, bend your knees if you need to, adjust your stance, let it feel good. Think about your feet in the floor, your arches lifting up, the four corners of the feet reaching down. And then just find that place again where you feel like you are going to be able to really focus on your breath without feeling distracted by the body having any discomfort, right? And that's different for every single person. Breathing in and out through your nose. One more breath here. And now when you're ready to rise up, take your time, come up really slowly, use your hands however you need, you know that. Good, and bring your feet on together. Move around a little bit. And let's bring our mats all the way into a wall from here. So let yourself bring your mat in and take your time. Actually, some of you might want your blocks handy here, just in case your shoulders get you. Because at first, we're going to put our hands to the wall, and we're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back for pyramid pose at the wall. So, you know, it's different when you're not all the way down. If you think of lengthening your spine out with your hands at the wall and your thighs lifting up, you're squaring your hips. Now you can, if you decide your shoulders are like not doing this, you can put your hands down to the blocks if you'd rather. That's why I said have the blocks there. But it is a different feeling to have your hands on the wall. So if you are able to do that, do. So both legs are straight. Right heel is turned inward slightly so that you have that bit of an angle at your foot back there, 20, 30 degrees. And let your thighs lift up towards your hips. Find that length. And the other thing that the hands at the wall does is really keep you honest with the sides of the body, doesn't it? Yeah, nice. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to bend that front knee, step forward, because all we're going to do is switch and do the other leg. So as you step, now how far back you step, same thing as when we're at the center, right? When we do pyramid pose. Doesn't matter how long of a stance you take. Your thighs are lifting up towards your hips. You can imagine really drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other. Take your time, let it feel good. You've got the wall there to give you help. If you want to go lower, you can. If you need to go higher, you can. Good. Staying grounded through that back heel. Beautiful. Good. So one more breath there. And then come on up. We're going to step our left foot towards the wall. If you can curl your toes up the wall, do. If not, don't worry about it. Just put the tips of the toes on the wall. And then bring your right foot back, maybe a foot or 2 feet or maybe a little bit more behind you. But your heel is going directly behind your right foot. Don't turn it in like you did in pyramid. Reach back directly through. And then bend your left knee. You can make a pillow with your hands. Put your head on your hands. And then let the knee touch the wall. And really engage your belly and reach into that back inner heel. If that's not enough for your calf, you can go a longer stance. If it's too much and you can't keep your heel down, then make it shorter. And think about zipping up your belly. Drawing the hip pointer bones towards each other a little bit. Try not to overly curl your tailbone forward though. Right, so the belly really works if the tailbone's reaching back on that diagonal line, but you don't want to tuck it up under you. Big difference, right? And then we're going to switch legs. So take your time. The right foot comes in. Again, if you can curl the toes up the wall, do. Position that left foot back there when you bend that right knee to the wall. And this side might be a total different story, right? So if you're like, oh my gosh, I can do a longer stance or a shorter stance on this side or that side, doesn't matter. Just find your calf back there, the back of the leg. Good. One more breath. And then step back from the wall. Have your hands on the wall. Walk like you're going to do down dog, but if you need to stay up high with your hands up on the wall too. So you kind of get your feet back to where you've got a comfortable angle at your hips, but your feet are right underneath your hips, right? You can be parallel to the floor if you want, or not, because from here, this is going to be the fun thing. Keep your feet where they are and come up to standing, and stay where you are with your feet. And then bring your arms overhead and put your right foot behind you on the floor. What we're going to do is we're going to dive forward into a warrior 3 from here. Right? Now, so it's pretty safe. You got the wall right there to catch you. If you're like, oh my gosh, I'm too far away from the wall to catch myself, then step closer in. But you're going to lift that right foot up off the floor and start to come forward with your torso and back with your leg until you get to where, yes, you can reach the wall and you can bring the leg up maybe more parallel to the floor. Toes are facing down of that right foot. And then let yourself come on back. Try to come right back where you started. Put the toes down. Bring yourself back up. It's really hard, actually. And then bring your arms down. Bring your right foot back. We'll do the other side. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to be closer to the wall, get closer, right? Arms up. Left foot back there. So again, once you get your foot behind you, right, you can be on the ball of the foot. Start to think about what you have to do to lift that foot up, right? And you want to bring your torso forward. Let your foot come up higher and higher. Let the torso come farther and farther until you have your hands there. And then maybe you can extend into a longer leg and you can turn the toes down and zip up the belly. Good. And then let yourself come on back up again, where the arms are overhead again. And then turn around with your back to the wall. Let yourself walk your feet maybe where your heels are 12 inches or so away from the wall. Bring your hands behind you and send your hips forward. Clasp your hands. And if already this is uncomfortable for your back, then don't use your hands back there and go closer to the wall. But if you're okay, you can start to send your hips forward. Let yourself lift the belly and feel how you're using your belly here. The tailbone's not tucking forward, right? It's reaching down, but the belly is working to keep the back from having any kind of discomfort. So it's the top buttock muscles are reaching downward towards your heels while the belly is lifting. That's your core body right there. And this is a back bend. So again, if it bothers your back, come back, go closer to the wall. If any of you want to bring your arms forward and up, you can if you want. Have your hands on the wall. Maybe even coming forward with your chest and letting your head come off the wall if you choose to. And you can touch the hands however you want. You can touch just your thumbs. If you like to face your palms towards each other, just be mindful. Good. And then shift your hips back towards the wall. Bring your arms on down. If they were up, walk your feet out a little further and bend your knees like you're coming into sitting in a chair. And feel your inner thighs releasing down. Let yourself, don't do anything in the back that feels uncomfortable. So your back is still in its natural curves. Again, you're reaching your tailbone down. And you can stay right here, or if coming forward feels good, you can bring your elbows above your knees and release to there. Or more. That's up to you. If you like to fold over your legs, you can come into straighter legs and just come all the way like you're doing a standing forward bend, if that's the biggest relief for your back. And if that doesn't feel like a relief, instead it feels like a stress, don't do it. Good. One more breath. And then, knees are going to bend. We're going to bring our hands to our thighs so we can press all the way back up to the wall. And then we'll walk our feet on back in. Yeah, that's, move around a little bit. We're going to come down onto our bellies on our mats on the floor. So come on down and let yourself, once you get down there, let your hands make that little pillow. Rest your forehead, bend your knees, circle your feet a little bit, and even move the legs around if you want to do windshield wiper blades back there. Whatever feels really good to release for you. And then try this. Bring your right leg long and look over to the left elbow, okay? And then draw that left knee is on the ground. Draw it up a little more, kind of like it's coming towards your elbow. And then rest your head down. So it's a total, like if you sleep on your belly, right? It's like a release for that left hip. The left foot just is down on the floor. There is, of course, an outward hip rotation here. You don't have to bring the knee up any higher than feels good and relaxing. Breathe into your low back. Good, and then lower that left leg down back under you, and we're going to go to the right. So you turn your head to the right and lay your head down so that right knee can kind of slide up towards your elbow. It's not important how far. And then just release into your breath. Feel the low back expand as you inhale. Good. One more breath. And then lower that right leg back under you again. Let's come on to our our forearms. Let yourself come on into elbows under the shoulders. Turn your palms down towards the ground. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Really feel the hands on the floor there, each finger. And then from there, bend your knees, lift your hips up. There's a half forearm plank. So letting yourself feel like you're pressing into your forearms, but then imagine you're drawing your elbows down towards the foot of your mat. That drags you forward a little bit, engages your belly a little bit more. Now you can put the feet down and lift the knees up if you want to do a full plank. You can put your toes down, lift your knees up. Here you are in a forearm plank. It feels a little bit different when you have your arms parallel, hands apart. And then release. Come on back all the way down to your belly. Bring your arms down alongside your forehead on the floor. And turn your palms down towards the ground. On your next inhale, float everything up that you can into Locust Pose. Your breaths become a little more shallow once you're in your Locust. It's that same lengthening of top buttock muscles down towards your heels. And we're going to lower back down again. Good. We're going to bring our arms again into Sphinx, but this time go ahead and clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out, and you can pick. You can go to that half plank, you can go to the full plank, or some of you might want to decide to bring your knees up and come up into a dolphin pose. So any one of those three, a half forearm plank, a full forearm plank. If your shoulders feel really good to come into that dolphin, it certainly takes it out of the core, but everybody's shoulders don't like doing dolphin pose. So dolphin's kind of like a down dog, only on your forearms, but it feels quite different into your shoulders than when your arms are long. Good. And then we're going to release and come back down again. Long legs, arms down back alongside you again. Put your forehead on the floor. And on your next inhale, find that Locust Pose again. Reach back through your fingertips. Reach through the toes there. Now once you're pointing your feet, see if you can draw just your toes back. You know, we've done all that toe work. So it's like you're pressing into the balls of the feet and your toes just draw back, which is a different feeling. We're going to release back down and we're going to come into child's pose from here. So shifting your way back into pose of a child. Take your time. Let your back release there. Now, depending on where you are, like whether you're kind of more forward or you have your hips back, see if you can walk your hands over towards the right or your forearms, right? And maybe even stretch your left arm out longer when you get as far as you want, so you get a little more into a side stretch there. And then come back through center, and we'll go to the left. Again, if you can stretch your right arm out a little bit longer, do. Let yourself just enjoy opening a little deeper in that side. Good, and then we'll come back into center again. And you just stay wherever feels good for you. You know, if you need to make a pillow with your hands, do. If you want to keep your arms overhead and soft, or bring your arms back alongside your legs. Nice, easy breaths. And let's let our hands come back by our knees. We're going to come on up, and we're actually going to come on around so that we can lie down on our backs, but get your strap handy before you go down, okay? So take your time, come on down. Once you get down there, it'll feel pretty good to bring your knees into your chest probably. And just release knees side to side a little bit. And good, come on up into a little happy baby. Send the feet on up, let the thighs slide down and towards the outer ribs there. It doesn't matter whether you keep your hands on your outside of your thighs there, or if you want to reach up to your feet or your ankles. You can hold any way you want in your child's pose, in your in your happy baby pose. And then just roll around a little bit again, side to side, if that's okay for you in happy baby, right? As long as it feels like a relief. Good. And then we'll bring the knees back in and lower our feet on down to the floor. And let's reach over and get that strap. And let's put our right foot, ball of the foot into the strap. Kind of even yourself out on the strap if you can. If you're able to, once the foot's up in the air and the strap's on it, hold the ends of your strap and then stretch your arms out beside you, right? Now the knee can be really bent, but just so you feel like, it's almost like your arms are out maybe a little higher or lower than your shoulders. It doesn't matter, but they're way out beside you. You can hold that strap and you can see your foot in the strap. Good. And then go ahead and readjust. Hold the strap where you want to so that you're easily feeling the weight of your arms. And start to extend your left leg down long on the floor. Flex through that left foot. Feel the left heel on the floor so there is an engagement in that long leg, just like you're standing on it. And that right knee can be a little bent here. You can bend and straighten it if that helps you. Remember, you don't want to get a sensation at your sitting bone there. That's where your hamstring attaches. You don't want a pulling sensation. So if it feels that way, come back out of it a little bit. Just let yourself find a nice stretch for the back of the leg, but you're not pulling on the leg here. And then just enjoy feeling your breath. If you can close your eyes and just let the body come into the pose. Occasionally feel the ball of the right foot pressing into that strap. And then let both ends of the strap come into your right hand. Left hand on top of your left hip. We're going to open the leg to the right. So just pressing that foot into the strap there and staying grounded in the left side. Again, it's like you're standing up and coming into, opening your knee out to the side or your leg out to the side. So you're staying with that sense of the hips being level. And then come back up to the top with that right leg. Switch your hands. So the left hand comes over and gets the straps. Stretch your right arm out beside you. And you can come just 2 inches over and feel a lot. You can feel the outside of that leg. You can feel your hamstring, your outer hamstring. You can go deeper and deeper over to the side as you choose. That is really up to you. So you can also change how high your leg is, right? Your leg can come way far down, which changes totally how this twist feels. Or you can bring the leg up closer towards your torso if you can, which changes it as well. Good. One more breath here. And then slowly let the leg come back up to the top. We're going to put our left foot up there in the strap. Put your right foot down on the floor so the right knee is bent. Get the strap right across the base of the big toe mound and the little toe mound. And then try to hold on to the ends of the strap again like we did before. Open your arms out wide. And just kind of hold the ends of the strap just enough to where you feel, really open across your chest. Remember, knee can be as bent as you need. And then readjust now to where you like to hold the strap. Maybe you like to go closer to your foot. Maybe you just like to have your hands down with your upper arms on the ground. Extending the right leg long, flexing through the right foot, feeling the right heel on the floor. And again, you're not trying to pull. You're trying to let the weight of the arms just allow the back of the leg to open up. Good. Easy breaths. Close your eyes. Let yourself be aware of your breath. and then bring both ends of the strap into your left hand. Right hand on the top of your right hip. And we're going to open out to the left. It's like you're standing on that right foot. Feel the heel on the ground. Feel that engagement of the leg. And then rotate that left heel up a little bit, coming into that outward hip rotation. Finding your inner thigh. If you press into the strap, it helps even more to find a little bit more in that leg. Good. And now to come back up, take your time, bring the leg on back up, switch right hand to come across and get your strap, left arm out beside you. Again, you can go 2 inches across the midline of your body and get a lot. And again, if you like to pretend, well, I can't bring my leg up this high, or I like my leg to go really low, you can always just change the height of the leg, go farther, see how it feels. Or you might decide, well, I'm going to switch again, come back, and play a little bit, you know, because it does change it drastically where your leg is when you come over into this twist. Good. So one more breath. And then let your leg come on back up to the top. Let's put both feet now. Put the right foot on up there by the left. And take your time. We're going to let our feet come wider. So how far you want to go into a wide angle? You can go, you know, more like 2 feet apart with your feet. You can go way, way out with the feet. You've got control. That strap is helping you safely come into a wide angle. So you can go all the way to where you go as far as you can to still be able to hold the straps if you want. And then just play a little bit here. You can intensify this pose. Like you can let your low back, you can pull with your hands, like draw the strap kind of towards you and feel your low back release into the floor. And that feels good, right? Feels really good. Or you can do a little bit different. You can send your tailbone back down towards the ground and keep a little bit of pulling going on, and then you get even deeper into the inner legs. Or you can do a little bit of all that, right? Just play. And again, go for what feels really good. And then maybe change it a little bit so that you feel a little bit different in the pose. That's the wonder of yoga, how different you can feel in every pose. A little bit different engagement, but also every day is a new day, right? So we're going to finish off, so find where you want to stay for 1 or 2 more breaths. And then bring your feet on up, take your straps on off, and bend your knees. Let your knees come on in towards your chest. And then let your feet, well actually once the feet are up, circle them a little bit, flex and point your feet a little bit. Move through your ankles and your feet. Good, and then bring your feet to the floor, widen them to the outside edges of your mat. So they're not quite on the floor. Or you might have your pinky and your second toe on the floor, the rest of your toes on the mat, just so they're pretty wide. And then just easily let the knees come from one side to another. And you are more than welcome to stay on one side. If you like to keep moving, you can just let your breath carry you side to side. If you get down with your knees to the left and you want to pick your left foot up and put it on the outside above your right knee to give you more of a stretch in the front of that right side and the front of the hip and in your thigh, you can. That's totally up to you. If you do those, it's like when you go to the right with the knees, it's the right foot that picks up. So it's the side you go to, that same foot picks up and goes to the outside of the other knee. And then you can get more in that hip flexor and more in your thigh maybe. It's up to you. Take your time. There might be something else entirely your body is kind of wanting to do right now. And that could be anything. So start to listen to what your body needs. And If there is another pose or movement that sounds really good to you, just allow yourself to let your body find its way to being able to more naturally release when we're ready. I'm going to start to move around. Get some lights. Head for some bolsters for a few of you that I know like to have them. You know, if anybody wants to try something different, remember at home, you can lie, and here, you can lie with your legs up the wall if that sounds good to you. You can let yourself be supported under your knees at whatever height feels good, like at home if you want to roll up a blanket. Well, if it sounds good to let yourself put a little bit of a blanket underneath your neck. If your chin kind of lifts up and you feel like you want support behind your head, just so you're able to release your neck do. Take your time. So just adjust however you need in a way that you're going to be able to let yourself enjoy letting the firmness of the ground support you and allow everything to soften, right? Letting your arms, your legs feel kind of heavy, not in a bad way, in a way that they're so relaxed that your hips and your shoulders just respond by also feeling nice and soft and relaxed. Letting your face go. So allow yourself to feel released all around your eyes, your mouth, across your forehead. As you watch your breath coming in and going out. And remember, whatever helps you to refocus back to your breath. And then when your mind wanders off again, that's fine. Just softly refocus. You're never going to make your mind stop thinking. But you will be able to find these little quiet places. And those are the places where your body and your brain have time to benefit from all you just did. So just allow yourself to completely and fully relax. breaths come in, expanding your ribs a little bit, letting yourself start to feel like moving as the breath deepens and lengthens. Your fingers and your toes can lead you into moving. Hands, your feet, and arms, legs, do whatever you need to do, stretch, or if it feels good to bring your knees in towards your chest, really take your time. Enjoy the ground a little longer if you can, being cradled by the floor, whether you roll to your side or stay on your back. Just be easy. Let it feel really like you're waking up and in a very soft way, you know. And when you do feel ready to rise up, you want to float your way on up to sit how is comfortable. And if your eyes open on the way up, see if you can just gently close them again and shift a little bit to feel both your sitting bones into the floor. It doesn't matter how you have your legs. Let yourself start to lengthen up so you feel that sense of top of the head reaching upward as your sitting bones reaching down. And you can lengthen, enjoy the breath again because there's so much room to breathe now. On your next exhale, let your hands come to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.